Something I've really been thinking about lately, dating as a single mom in her 30s, is how much my perspective has changed on what I am looking for in a future partner. And the biggest one is I am looking for a father for my son. I am 100%. But I remember back in the day, I remember even saying and telling potential suitors, like, I'm not looking for a father for my son. I'm not looking for a father for my son. But now I'm like, that was the dumbest shit ever. Why would I have ever said that? Because number one, my son and I are a package deal. You do not get access to me without taking him into account as well.
I can tell her why she said that in the beginning. Sorry about that. I had my mic on mute. She said it in the beginning because she was doing it her way. See, oftentimes we we do these things in life and we actually try to do it the way we want to do it. We try to leave God out of it. But as sure as, as the sky is blue, it shows who's right and who's wrong. God is always going to be right. I know people don't like to invite God into the conversation all the time, but I tend to think that it's timely to bring God in conversations, especially conversations like this, to where someone is willingly admitting that she's saying, oh, I used to say, oh, I'm not looking for a father or dad for my son. Now I'm looking for him. And she's asking, like, I don't know why I was saying that. Well, I know why you were saying it. You were saying it because you're doing life the way you want to do life, and it doesn't work that way. And we find out, sure enough. I mean, it doesn't mean that, we always yield to God, yield to his principles, yield to his design, but it's always going to show up when we're not. That's for sure.
You know what I mean? And he needs a father figure. He does. And I want to be partnered with someone that my son can look up to, someone that he can emulate. I want to be partnered with someone that my son can look at and be like, that's the type of man, father, and partner I want to be, right? And now I know that this doesn't apply to everyone because a lot of people do, you know, have children who have active dads in their lives. That is not the case for me. And thankfully so. I am super grateful that my son does not have his dad in his life. And I know that sounds harsh, like, because it's painful for him, right? Like, no one wants that. And, like, in a perfect world, that's not how it would be. But my son's father is not a good person. So I would literally hate if he were actively in his life behaving the way he chooses to, because I would hate if any of those characteristics rubbed off on my kid. All that being said,
You know, one of the things I want to point out when I'm listening to her, she says she wants someone that her son can look up to, and she recognizes that he needs a father. It's so interesting because I don't think we often realize how much who we choose to have children with is a reflection of our discernment. They're a reflection of, where we were and where we are. And oftentimes, we leave, I keep going back to this, we leave God out of the picture and we do what we want to do. And then when things don't work out how we want or need it to work out, because now she sees that her son needs a father. I'm gonna tell you about a kid I knew. I still know him, but his mother told me a story. He was 4 or 5 years old. She said, his dad had been in his life, and I know the backstory, but I won't get into that. And he's not around. I don't even think he's ever met his dad. Now that I think about it, he hasn't. He's like 4 or 5 years old. He was playing at a friend's house, and and everybody, there were other friends there with their dad. She said, and I'll never forget it. She said he just started crying so bad. and saying, I want my dad. Where's my dad? And she was saying how it just broke her heart. But again, the decision of who she chose, and how these circumstances came about, was now affecting her son. And she could see, like, man, he really needs his dad. Same with this young lady. She's probably seeing her son acting a certain way, or he's communicating to her, like, I want my father, I need my father, or crying or something like that. And she's like literally wanting to help heal the brokenness in her son's life, because it's obvious and it shows up by, having a father figure for him. And I'm not, like, this is not about saying women should choose better. That's obvious. Men and women should choose better, when you just look at the grand scheme of things. But it's more about, I want to make the point more about listening to God's way, inviting God into how you do life. That way, it's not like it's going to be perfect, but when you invite God into your life and into important things like family, who you have a child with, who you're marrying, who you're dating, like, his principles, his wisdom shows up and it reflects throughout, And again, people are going to not be who they say they are. Like, people are going to disappoint and all of that. But I'm telling you, when you invite God in, structure is there, discipline is there, and it gives hope to a situation where it's hopeless. Like, when you leave God out of it, a lot of times it ends up like this: chaotic, confusing, damaging, traumatizing, triggering, and leaves you trying to pick up the pieces and do it yourself. And that's never good.
And no, I am looking for a father for my son. You don't get off the hook. You don't get access to me without being ready to fucking step up. You just don't. You don't. So I just think that's something that every other single mom should think about. Like, and if being straightforward like that means someone doesn't want to be with you, then that person is not for you. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna, start dating them under false pretenses that, like, you're not looking for a father for your kid when you really are, and you're just hoping that they'll be that person. Like, no. Let them know from jump. Otherwise, it's just a waste of everybody's time. If you are not my husband, you are in his way. And that's all I have to say about that.
I think it's so interesting. Like, people say everything but what needs to be said. Invite God into your life, y'all. And, she's saying what she wants and what she's looking for, which is cool, I don't have a problem with that. But invite God in, because obviously you weren't doing it the right way the first time. And I will say this, just understanding, like, sometimes what some women will do is they'll weaponize what they have to offer themselves and say, no, you can't have this unless you give me what I want, like, unless you're going to take on this package deal. And I do think they should move in a way that, that calls for a man who wants to marry them and take on the family aspect. However, a lot of times what I notice is they weaponize it in a way to where, like, if you want to be with me, if you want to sleep with me, if you want to get close to me, then you have to do this, 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 and that. And again, I just put it like this. If her standards, if she was saying these things, like, you don't get access to me based off the principles and the morals and the boundaries I've put in place, great. She's saying this because she wants something from you, from the man, that, essentially benefits her son. And that's where it becomes a weapon, because now she's, not giving you access because you're not giving her what she wants. She made it sound good, like, oh, well, if you're not my husband, then you're in his way and all this. Nah, it's not about that. It's not about being a husband. It's about, she sees the pain and she sees that she cannot give her son what he needs, and she's trying to find that, which in itself isn't bad, but you got to use wisdom.
You as a single mother, share your thoughts.
If I would have done things different, I would have stayed with him. That kid needs a dad. Men bring structure into the kid's life. My son don't listen to me, but there's been many times where I've been like, I wish his dad would be on the same page with me so he could tell this kid this, and that way our household would be easier. I won't be repeating myself 1,000 times because that man already put that in this kid's head. Guys listen to guys more than they will listen to a woman, and they respect a man more than they will listen to a woman. My son be like, whatever, it's this girl telling me what to do. I don't care. He wants to hear his dad tell him what to do. He needs to hear his dad telling him what to do. His dad telling him to clean up his room, take out this trash. He hear me telling it, and he thinks I'm treating him like a maid.
I agree. But to expand on the conversation, kids deserve and need both of their parents. And oftentimes they, as adults, we, our parents, I can't, because I'm not a parent, but oftentimes what I'm hearing in conversation from single parents, they're trying to, have all the things that the child needs without committing to the design that God has put in place. And that's where the problem comes in. It's like, God, I want my child to have a father, and I want him to have a good father and be a good example, but I don't want to include what you say and how you say to do it. Like, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it my way. And then we want these good outcomes. It's like, it just doesn't work like that, unfortunately. I do hope, for the sake of society, for the sake of these young boys, for this, knowing how, just seeing young men who deal with the pain of fatherlessness, and even young girls, young women, and especially children, it affects us. I know having my dad in the home really set a strong line of discipline and boundaries and structure that was in place, because had he not been there, things would have been different. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Also, connect with the brand, where you can grab merch online at www.there'shopebrand.com. And if you also want to donate to this channel, all that's in the description as well. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.